All right, man. Welcome to the Cookout. Invitation to the Cookout, man. Yeah. Season 2. We right here, man. Hey, if you've not checked out Season 1, check our social media links, our YouTubes. We got on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Go check it out. Take a listen while you're driving, while you're cooking at home in the house. Hey, some of you, man, I know how y'all do at work. Y'all be having 2 monitors. Hey, put it on that other monitor at work and take a look at it, man. I ain't judging you, but hey, whatever you do, go check it out, man. We excited about this year. As always, it's your boy TheeAlexMac. Got DapperDom in the building, man. Hey,
y'all already know
what we got going on, man.
Man, first, like you just said, hey, like, share, subscribe. Y'all already know the drill. Hey, new year, need new followers, new subscribers. More likes. Hey, rock with us. All right, rock with us. Also, too, check out last episode. Had our first guest, Miss Jasmine Hudson, co-founder of Black Paper Party, a company that specializes in inclusive seasonal products. They got Christmas. Yeah. They got birthdays. Valentine's Day around the corner. All right. Juneteenth. Come on. Check them out. All right. Sir. Support them.
Yeah, we're going to drop they link in the episode as well as in our notes, man. We really want you guys to go and rock out with them. I think there's going to be a good sneak peek of some stuff that we're doing in the future as well in terms of highlighting products that really align with, what we got going on. So definitely go and check it out.
Before we get into it, let's chop it up. Yeah. All right. This segment currently sponsored by Life. All right. Living in faith every day. All right. But we'll take its paid sponsorship too. Call us. Let us know. Hey, yeah. So let's chop it up a little bit first, man. New year, calendar flip. You got people who got goals, got resolutions. Also, too, things now people are doing to have them words or phrases for the year. Want to know, man, are you a resolution guy, goal guy? What are you?
Man, I'm not really a big resolution guy. Like, that's just never been my thing, like just sitting down making a whole list. Like, I'm definitely more of like the word being like a theme. Okay. A recurring theme throughout the year, and it's just crazy because I remember like that was really the precipice of us really saying like, man, we didn't talk because we had talked about it, and then it kind of ebbed and flowed and kind of went into hibernation. And I remember we had a conversation at the top of the new year, and it's crazy because we had not talked at all about that, and then we both had the same word. Yep. Yeah. We both had the same word, so it's like, man, that's real right there. Like we got it. I don't, people think about signs, God talking to you, but that was like, okay, we got to lock in now. We did. And so last year was about action, and because I had prior years to that, man, just talking to friends, it was like outside of the day-to-day stuff, because man, especially as you get an adult, like it's really scripted. You get a family too, like, oh man, like you're gonna work, you're gonna have to, pick a kid up from school, it's activities, like it's the same type of thing. And you gotta do that, what I'm saying? But then it's like, okay, what else, am I learning? If I want to travel, am I traveling? Am I, learning a new skill, right? And so if I went back at last year, I'd be like, I definitely was about action last year. Yeah, Did I get everything done? No, right? But I think it's also, I had a conversation with my therapist, and when we were kind of getting to know each other, he was like, man, I have we've never talked about this, but he was like, I have a feeling that like you're very competitive. And I just started laughing. I was like, yeah, it can get kind of bad. And he was just kind of helping me understand. He was like, you don't have to treat life like a competition. Okay. In terms of like, hey, either I get everything done or I failed, right? Or Super Bowl or bust. Or it's like, fine. It's like, no, that's not how life is. As I tell my boys and our coaches, like progress over perfection. So if you had 10 things on your list, did you get 1 done? That's progress. Did you get 2? Like, if you didn't get 0 done, okay, that's something to have a talk about. But progress is about like every day, every month, every week is just trying to like do better within, what you have, set up, man. Yeah. So if I was to think about like this year, I really say it's like about relationships. Okay. Relationships for me, just being intentional, just being better, pointing to the relationships that I feel like are important. And then I would just say, protecting my time within relationships. I heard someone say, everything that you say yes to, you say no to something else. And I was like, man. Yeah. So it's just thinking about that piece in terms of like, understanding what am I saying yes to, and then how that affects other things, and learning how to, balance that some more within relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
What you got, man?
And if y'all didn't know, our word last year was action. All right, that's like we kind of just talked and like that was our word last year was action. This year I don't have a word, man, but I do have
a phrase. It's early.
Yeah, but I'm it's take the limits off God.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like that's just been in my spirit. Take the limits off God.
Get the tambourine out up in here.
Yeah, like we say, like, man, I don't know if I can get this done. I don't know if I can get that done. This, that, and the third. But when you put you're putting it on yourself.
Absolutely.
But if I say, God, give me the strength, give me the energy to accomplish what you want me to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, like removing some of those things that aren't priorities. You know what I'm saying? And don't align with what I'm supposed to be doing. So
like Mary said, take them shackles off of him, man. Take the shackles off his feet.
Yeah,
right?
So I'm taking the limits off God this year, man, and just trying to move with the spirit, where to take it, where to take the podcast, where to take my career, take relationships, whatever that might be, man. Just let him have it, and let him take me where he want me to go. So
that's big.
Y'all let us know, man, in the comments. Y'all got any resolutions, phrases that y'all got for 2025? Talk to us. We'll talk back. I promise you we will. But let's get into it, man. What's on the grill today? Yeah, we staying with this whole theme of like starting anew. You know what I mean? And like, I know you talked about in episode 1 kind of what a food scientist is, how you got into it. You can get people like a quick synopsis of how you got into it. Because like I said, I ain't met a black food scientist before. So when you said that, I was like, okay.
Like, wait, what?
But then also, too, maybe take us through that process, man, of what it's like when you guys are getting ready to try to maybe create a new ingredient or a new product. Like, what's the conversations? Who's in that room? Where's the idea generated from? And walk the people through it, man. And like, matter of fact, I should have brought my notebook. Because I'm gonna be in here learning. Because like
it's classes. Hey, get your pen and your pencils, your phones, get it ready.
Just like y'all are students. This is the teacher. This is our teacher for the day, guys. All right, look, the floor is yours, my guy.
Oh man, so man, this is it's something that I'm passionate about. I love it. Just been fortunate enough to just have so many experiences. Going through this, and talked a little bit about it in the first episode, but food science in general has different disciplines within it, right? There's different things that you can do, from being somebody that's focused on food packaging, someone that's focused on food safety, right? The preservation of food and making sure that it's safe for everybody to eat. There's people who focus on food product development. So that is what my expertise and experience comes from, is from creating products alongside a team of others, right? So there's typically other people that you're working with that, everyone has a piece of the pie. So for me, it's about bringing a idea to life alongside somebody that's going to make sure, hey, it's safe for people to eat. They can actually eat it based off what you have. You have food labeling. So those are the people that, make sure that, whether it's talking about the nutrition facts panel, which is usually on the back, or depending on what kind of packaging it is aside. If you look at this Sprite here, you'll see it has a nutrition facts panel. It has ingredients, all of those things. So there's people who specifically focus on that, and that we're using, ingredients that are permittable within our the products that we're making. So you really start, again, I've done food product development. I'd probably say, it's funny because when I first started, man, I was the young guy, and everybody was making jokes, and they're like, man, I was probably playing with Legos when you were like, I'm like, and now it's like I fast forward, and it's like, I'm not the old guy, okay? I'm let's get the facts straight. I'm not the old guy, but I'm definitely not the younger guy. I'm kind of in that middle, in between of everything. But I can just, vividly remember now, if I were to, go in somebody's refrigerator or their pantry, I could find something that I've contributed to. Within their house. I'm willing to, I'm not a betting man, but I'm willing to bet probably 80%. If I went into, took 10 houses, and I probably could say, hey, I worked on that, or I had some time of connection to that through something that I've done. So that's something that is just so amazing to me. I remember the first product that I worked on as an intern. This was P.F. Chang's frozen meals.
Okay, yeah.
This was before they came out.
Yeah.
So there was a period in time where I don't know how popular they are anymore, but they were real popular, which I'll talk to you guys about kind of product life cycles. But they were Bertolli frozen meals.
Okay, yeah.
Like Italian. Yeah,
I used to rock
and
college.
bingo. Yeah, perfect college meal. It had the sauce, it had the noodles, it had the meat in there.
Yeah.
You dump it in a saute pan about 10 minutes.
Yeah, you there. Yeah.
You there. And I think it could feed two, right? So you could.
Me and my boy Kale. Kale know we used to rock out on. Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about. So around that time, and this is perfect for what we're talking about. I'm kind of starting in the middle, but I'll get back to the beginning. Is that was really popular.
Okay.
And so for them, they were like, how can we create the next version of this? Because this is doing so well. So they were talking about doing an Asian one, and they were going to tie it to P.F. Chang's.
Okay.
So they were going to have the brand and the licensing for all of that. And basically, you know, what happens with that is that you're working alongside their teams to show that you can make a product, basically almost a one-for-one match for what they serve in the restaurants.
Okay.
So during that internship, like, every day they were bringing bags. I'm talking about a bunch of bags of P.F. Chang's into the lab, and we would basically dissect it. And so what that means to us is we're trying to break down everything. What's the texture like? What's the taste like? What is, you know, is it a little salty? Is it a little sweet? And then we're comparing what we've made to theirs to kind of see like, hey, how close to it. But I got a little bit on track, but a little bit off. I just went a little bit further ahead. But I remember the first time, fast forward, I saw that in the store, and I was just like, whoa, like just the sense of pride and accomplishment. Like, man, I had something to do with that. Like as a young kid, it was crazy.
So I hate to interrupt you, but like, that's the same feeling. So I was in merchandise planning for a long time, and one of the big items that really blew up when I was in merchandise planning for children's apparel was girls' leggings, young girls' leggings, man. So like leggings was just getting popular back then, and we went from leggings, and we make capri shorts. You know what I mean? But like just seeing, and it was kind of awkward for me because like I'm an adult and like seeing children, you know what I'm saying? Like I knew where those came from. You know what I'm saying? I planned that how many units we gonna sell this year. You know what I'm saying? So that sense of like I had something to do with that getting on the shelves at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? That sense of pride, like absolutely. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing that, so I see where you're coming from with that. But I'll let you get back.
It's that for sure, man. Especially being young, it's just like dang, like. I worked on that. Like people gonna be buying that. So again, I think if we were to do a challenge like that, man, I've worked on some of the biggest and most well-known brands that are out there. So I've seen it, and it's just been a joy. But if we go back to the start, like what we kind of call it within the industry is a commercialization process, and it's really the same whether it's like you talked about clothing, whether it's about a car. Like everyone has a process that starts within commercialization, and there's a marketing term that they call it like the 4 Ps that really kind of goes into all these different philosophies, but it's really just around like understanding your customer base. So they talk about price, they talk about people, they talk about product. And then I think the other one is placement. I might have messed up one of those, but it's really about research. Is what it comes down to. So if we were like to take this Sprite, you know, you get a bunch of people in the room together from different disciplines. So it could be, hey, I'm from research, what we call research and development. So most product developers work in that specific category within the business. So you'll have them. You'll have marketing, you'll have like finance people. And they all come in. Typically, most companies I've worked at, Walmart's different because they're retail driven. So, but if you think about it, it all ties back to marketing. But they come in, and for this episode, we'll use Sprite as an example. So the marketer comes in and says, hey man, like Our sales are really going good on Sprite right now. What can we do to really capture more market share or get more people to buy more of our products? So if you think about any business, because these food companies are like, they want to get more of the customers' dollars.
Okay.
Like always, right? So when we talk about market share, that's Sprite saying like, hey, we have, just a little bit of rough, just business 101. Sprite may say, because Sprite's Coke, so Sprite is underneath Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola parent company may say, we have 10% market share of the soda business, right? Essentially saying that, from all the dollars that are made in the soda business, 10% of that is attributed to Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
With anybody, they're like, well, I want it to be 11%.
Yeah.
I want it to be 12%. And so a lot of that is when you're talking about, if you're not bringing in customers that are new to your segment, meaning that, hey, they've never had Sprite before and they really want to try Sprite, or people that are like, hey, I tried Sprite before, but I really like, 7-Up better, or I guess Starry now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But I like that better. We use a term that call, incremental customers or incremental dollars.
Yep.
Basically saying that these are new customers to our part of the business, right? And we want to be able to bring something to them that they've never, typically that comes through innovation.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you already have your set of stuff that's there, people have kind of made their decision on whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
Like Sprite's been around forever, or if we use Coke and Pepsi, like, man, it's pretty much like, hey, either you a Coke or you a Pepsi person.
By the way, I'm Coke. What are you?
Team Coke, baby.
Right.
Matter
of fact, we're gonna put a poll out there. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke or Pepsi, man.
Yeah. Now I'm feeling our demographic gonna say Coke, but I would be surprised if they go Pepsi, man. We gonna put a poll out there on our social media to see, hey, you a Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi just don't hit.
It's a little different.
It's definitely different, man.
Question I have for you though. So when you're talking about like that incremental, is those conversations also too saying like, hey, I know right now Sprite, let's say Sprite has 10% of market share. Mm-hmm. Do you care whether somebody switches from Sprite to cranberry Sprite? You know what I mean? Because it's like, at one point, do you cannibalize yourself?
All right. We talking business at the Cookout, baby. We say incremental, market share, cannibalize. Like, we give y'all some free game up in here.
What's that conversation on, like, cannibalizing yourself on having too many products?
So that's definitely a conversation depending on how mature the product line is that you're, like, to really to kind of break it down for you guys, cannibalizing is like, at that point you're not making more money. You're just taking money from one product and taking it somewhere else. So if I'm making $1 million in Sprite and someone says, hey, we're gonna do cranberry Sprite, a cannibalization would be, we're still gonna make $1 million, but instead of making $1 million in Sprite, we might make $700,000 in Sprite and $300 million in that cranberry Sprite.
300,000.
300,000, yes, 300,000. But we still made the same amount of money. So we didn't move the needle. We didn't grow.
Yeah.
As a product, as a category line, right? If we were to think about it. So that's definitely part of the conversation that goes in that research. Typically, the very early research, and this is, I'll talk to an innovation cycle, because that's really when you're creating new products. There's a lot of I won't say there's a lot, honestly. It's really just a concept and an idea. Okay. I'll back it up all the way to the beginning. It's a concept and an idea. So the one that we got Sprite here, and I'm not being privy to this, but someone that's done it, I can probably tell you the conversations that happen is, let's go back to the Popeye chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And how something that seems so basic and ordinary and something that we've always had sent people in a frenzy, and it became viral. And so with that, a lot of those conversations is like, what's the health of our business?
Okay.
And how are we doing good? And so going back to your point, the sandwich gave them a very good opportunity to avoid cannibalization, because what their research probably showed them is that people who want a sandwich or people that want bone-in chicken or want boneless chicken, whether it's the nuggets or the tenders or strips that people have. It's a different market or demographic that you're trying to target there. So that's when you're first starting that, you're trying to figure out, hey, is there a demographic for this? Yeah. Do people actually want the idea that we come up with? Because a lot of stuff die on the vine because nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Like you want to be able to be like, okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Before, in your experience, what percent of you would say that items kind of died in that beginning? Like, hey man, we think this is a good idea, but then as we get into testing and research and taste and stuff, it's like this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Like let's. Man,
that's not enough, honestly.
Okay.
I think sometimes I feel like when in being part of these things, some people get attached to their own ideas.
Okay.
And they want to force feed it through. And if they got enough power, they kind of can make things say stuff that they want it to do. And I've definitely seen that at Walmart.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen those conversations where it's like, oh man, I went to this restaurant and I had these chili habanero wings and I just love them and we need to go do this. And you're like, oh, well, you're just one person. Unless you're going to buy 1 million units, like, we need a little bit more to kind of, determine that.
Because, I mean, as a shopper, as I go down some of these aisles, and especially like now, like the cereal aisle, when I see Sour Patch cereal, like who thought that's a good idea? And I would love to know like how well. A matter of fact, I might ask somebody who's in cereal Walmart, like how well does that Sour Patch cereal do? You know what I mean? Like,
so I think some of those things too is like as you get more sophisticated and some of this stuff like that, there's definitely been stuff that I've worked on and I've been like, well, why? No. Why are we doing this? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And some of that is outside of the research development and food scientists decision-making process. We still do it. I don't think everything
talking about a business. Like top execs.
Exactly.
We want you to do this. Go make it happen, whether you agree or disagree.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. Hey, when you got a boss, you get right in line and you do it, even if you got to huff and puff a little bit. And so I think as you start to look at, which this is, as we kind of talk about the landscape of food, which is we can get into, and that's another conversation, is everything put out there isn't necessarily meant to sell well. Now, what do I mean when I say that?
Let me know.
A lot of that, some things could be to get eyeballs on you, right? Okay. So they may say, hey, we may sacrifice with this Sour Patch Kids because that may get us some credibility with shoppers or with kids, because that's your cereal consumers, to be like, okay, like they're doing innovative stuff in this area. We really need to pay them attention. Okay. So you might buy something. I think Post. I'm sorry if that's not who does the Sour Patch Kids. There's only like a few big cereal brands out there. I think it's Post, but I could be wrong. Yeah. My son loves the Oreos. I mean, he eats those, tears them up.
Does he?
Tears them up. I'm like a madman. Okay. And but I think some of it is about getting eyes. You could have been somebody that was stale in the customer's frame of mindset, and then you let that out, and it's like, okay, like you cool again, like we can really rock with you. I think about it. I mean, obviously you guys see how we come and represent at the cookout. We coming with the shoes, right? And so we're both sneakerheads. I think about like the evolution of Saucony's, our New Balance. Yeah. Go back 5. You ain't even got to go back 10 years ago. Go back 5 years ago. Yeah. People were wearing them. There were people that wanted to be like really deep into being sneakerheads. They had them, but they weren't hitting like they are now, where people are paying $100, $180, $250 a pop for New Balances.
For sure.
So some of it is about like coming out with something that gets the attention back on you, so that people are like, okay, like, oh, we want to rock with you now. Like you cool again. So everything that is brought out sometimes it's a sacrifice in order for a bigger business picture that company or that whoever's running that thing may have in mind.
All right. Well, look, I'm gonna take it back real quick.
Yeah.
When I brought up cannibalism, you know what I'm saying, in your business, I want to bring it back to life.
Absolutely.
Sometimes in life we cannibalize progress with being busy. You know what I'm saying? Like we put all these things on our calendar, like, oh, and you think like just because I'm busy, I'm being productive and I'm making progress. When you're really not. Hey, so since we just flipped to the new year.
Yeah.
Hey, look at your life and see, hey, where are you cannibalism in your life? Like, am I really being productive? Or am I just making myself busy so at the end of the day I say, man, I checked this box, this box, this box. But no real progress has been made. You know what I mean? So like,
for sure.
Do that inventory on your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that just brought up when you talked about that, when we talked about business, like, we do that in our life as well. And also, too, what you're saying, like, hey, sacrifice. Like you said, like, we might bring a product just to get eyes on us so we can go further. Same thing in life. Hey, sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice and do things you don't want to do. Because it's going to take you farther. You know what I'm saying? So but yeah, listen.
I mean, all these is interesting how you say all these things, because when you experience life long enough, you see how much parallels the things you do, whether it's coaching, whether it's business. Like, there's a lot of parallels that just go into your life in general. So I think that's fascinating. And when you get to those sides of the businesses, sometimes it's a conscious choice to say, we just want to do this to get eyes on us, to be seen as this. Like, I think I saw Sam's Club was doing like these, during the holidays, they did like these crazy loaded hot dogs.
Okay.
And it was like, one was just like a hot dog with like mashed potatoes and like gravy and like, and it just stuff that is like, I'm not going to eat that. I'm not going to spend my money on that. But in some people's brain, that may trigger like, okay, maybe I haven't been in Sam's Club in a minute. Like, they doing stuff like this here. I wonder what they're doing somewhere else. So that's kind of a big picture, what we like to do, since we're throwing around all these business terms, 10,000 foot view of the business versus like, hey, we want to, go and focus on this, chicken sandwich that we want to come out and release. Yeah. But everything starts with an idea, and then into that idea, you're trying to do as much, I would say, intentional research during that time to figure out, what does that look like, right? So I think on our side, we're included in a couple of different things of research. One of it is just kind of going in, and if we have like is creating what we feel like that product could be based off of the parameters that we were given, right? I've heard people kind of call it in my line of work a gold standard.
Okay.
So somebody may come and say, hey, we want to do this chicken sandwich, like, this is what we want it to do. We want it to be on a soft bun, and we want it to be with a nice sauce, and we want it to be with this. So I go in and interpret that, and then I go in and I'm getting to work. They're giving me cues of how they feel about it. And sometimes it's very vague. Yeah. Some people may just say, I need you to make a chicken sandwich. And that's it. And you're like, okay. Yeah. And then some people are like, I need you to make a hot honey chicken sandwich that goes on a brioche bun. Yeah. So those are two different, things that we're going and looking at.
Yeah. Now, I know, like, I'm just going to throw out some more Walmart terminology. You used to say good, better, best. Yeah. So is it like just that plain chicken sandwich is good? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we just want you to make a chicken sandwich. Right. Like, there's going to be just a demographic or a price point that we're just trying to hit this chicken sandwich versus that hot honey on the brioche. That might be better. And then what my best look like? Do you guys have that as well, like in the food?
Yes. The short answer is yes. Okay. We do have that. Yeah. If you think about the other P that I talked about, price. Yeah. Price dictates what you can create. Price for sure dictates your product. If we're talking, so a lot of times, and when I was heavy into that, I want to know. One of the things I used to hate. Yeah. When I was doing that was what I would call scope creep. So scope creep for me is like, okay.
I'm taking notes.
When you come in and you say, okay, you're my marketing guy, and you're like, man, Alex, we did this, and we went to this certain conference and this expo, and this is what we think we want to do with this next line, and this is how we want to do it. And for me, it's like, I used to say all the time, I like to, sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. Okay. People be like, for me, it's like, that means give me as much information as you can up front. Yeah. Okay. If you know a price point that you're thinking about, tell me. Because I might go, I don't want to go and make a $15 sandwich, and you're like, well, it needs to be a $5 sandwich.
Yeah.
That totally changes everything that I'm doing.
What you're putting into
what I'm putting into it. I might be like, man, I can't do that, that caviar aioli that I wanted to do on it.
Okay.
I got to go and do this because you've dictated a price that you needed to be at, and then I have to fit around those parameters within, the ingredients and everything that I'm using. Scope creep happens when it's, hey, I've given you these parameters, these inputs that you need to go and focus on. I'm working. I'm getting down. Like, we got this. And they're like, well, by the way, Alex, now we want you to add this to it. We want you to add pickles to it. It's like, no, well, you didn't tell me that the first time. Yeah. And then slowly they're changing what the scope of the, of the product, what the initial product was, right? It's just like, if I've never, I imagine if I use that scope analogy, if I'm shooting somebody, like, I get focused in and I'm locked in, and they like, your Dom's like, yeah, that's the person to get. And then you say, no, actually it's that person over to the corner.
Yeah.
Now you got to readjust, you focus back in, and that takes time. Yeah. It takes time from that process. So that when I say go slow to go fast, we might take some time on the front end to get all the proper details and get the information that I need, so that when I'm in there and I go in the lab, I can rock out, and I can do everything I do, because I know you're not going to come in and interrupt me and say, hey, I need to end. Hey, sometimes it's going to happen, but you don't want to be working with somebody where it's like, man, I know if I'm working with Dom, he going to go in there and change it a few times. Yeah. You don't want that.
Speaking of interruption, man, I'm loving these terminologies that you're throwing out there. Learning, like I said, I'm a student today, you the teacher.
Hey, a little something.
Listen, matter of fact, we ain't gonna make no to-go plate today. We know we'd like to send you with something. What'd you like to say?
Hey, we trying to put more on your food, more on your plate than just food at the cookout.
Yeah. So we ain't gonna make no to-go plates today. All right. We want y'all to come back. We gonna do part 2 of this episode. So have a listen. Also, as we take this break, go listen to season 1.
Yeah.
All right? Go listen to season 1.
Yeah.
Come back with us for next episode.
Yeah. Get your helping. Get back in line, and we'll serve you up some more, man. We'll check you out.
Put the aluminum foil down. Down. Sit back down.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. I like that then.
Yeah.